Continuing our lore of the Southern Realms, I want to talk about another legendary lord, or should I say legendary lady, that a lot of people really enjoy. That's Lucrezzia Belladonna. This is the only of the legendary lords that is a caster next to, I think actually, the Dark Prince is a caster too, but I haven't looked at his profile in a long time. We'll get to that later. But she has a really expansive lore, and in that lore, she's kind of juggled all over the place. As she's in Tilia, she's all over Tabaro, she's all over Pavona, she's just all over the map here. So we're going to read her quick little lore blurb, and we're going to talk about her magic items, or should I say poisonous items, and then her special rules. And to showcase this, rather than me showing off Cataph's Southern Realm mod in a battle map, we're actually going to look at it on the campaign map so we can go through the skills of Lucrezia and how Cataph has kind of translated her into Total War Warhammer 2, and I'll kind of discuss my thoughts on those translations and if I would change anything, what I would make it a little bit different for her actual hopeful inclusion somewhere in Total War Warhammer 3 or maybe towards the end of Warhammer 2's life cycle. But let's jump on the lore here for Lucrezzia Belladonna. The most beautiful woman in all Tilia, and some say even the whole of the old world, is Lucrezzia Belladonna. She is also the most dangerous to know. Lucrezia is a renowned sorceress and rumored to be an arch-poisoner, mistress of many assassins. Lucrezia's first husband, Luigi, Prince of Pavona, perished in the hands of a paid assassin sent by rival merchant princes. Lucrezia, then only a very young woman, was determined to keep her hold on the principality at all costs. Several mercenary generals who commanded armies in defense of her city became her husbands and therefore also princes of Pavona. Every one met with a mysterious demise, usually when their political and strategic skill was found wanting. Consider Borso, who lost the battle of Etto Bruti, not to be confused with Etu Bruti, and died soon afterwards when his wounds were mistakenly treated with poisonous herbs. The next day, the mercenary captain Donato assumed command, won a great victory, and saved the city from the Varezians. Donato married Lucrezia soon afterwards and became a prince of Pavona. A few years later, Donato was about to make a disastrous alliance with Tratio against Borgio the Besieger, who was married to Lucrezia's older sister, Dolcellata, at the time. However, before the army of Pavona was committed to this unwise course of action, Donato succumbed to a meal of poisonous toadstools, which had been gathered from the woods by an ignorant kitchen servant, unable to tell the difference between edible and venomous mushrooms. Lucrezia was, of course, angry and distressed, but not so much as to prevent her subsequent marriage to the dashing captain Ranuccio, after an incidentally short interval. He immediately rushed off at the head of the army of Pavona to attack the rear of Trentine army just as it was deploying against Borgio and expecting reinforcements from Pavona. For this show of solidarity with an old ally, Pavona was richly rewarded by Borgio. Lucrezia's seventh husband, Poggio, recently made an abrupt exit from the political scene after drinking 3 bottles of very dubious quality wine. Lucrezia is now casting her eye around for a new husband to share the government of Pavona and lead its armies to victory, with her by his side. Are you man enough for Lucrezzia Belladonna? Mercenary princes with a delicate digestion should not apply. So this is, again, the 5th edition of Warhammer Fantasy, and in that time, you get a very tongue-in-cheek style to the lore, to the rules, and the Dogs of War book as a whole is very, very tongue-in-cheek. If you've taken a look at the other Southern Realms video we've done on the other Dogs of War Regiments of Renown, I'll link that in the upper right-hand corner for you guys. A lot of that lore is very tongue-in-cheek, and it is very cheesy and funny. That's why the little ending here is, are you man enough for Lucrezia Belladonna? Mercenary princes with a delicate digestion should not apply. It does have a lot of that, again, tongue-in-cheek, very sarcastic, witty humor that makes its way throughout this entire edition, but namely Dogs of War 5th edition. Now, 5th edition did not have the conventional lores of magic like we get in 6th edition and onward. 6th edition is really that blueprint for what we get for 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then that translates into Total War Warhammer. In 5th edition, you just had battle magic, and you could take battle magic spells as per allotted per your level, per your character profile, so on and so forth. So, Lucrezia is a hireling sorceress, a hireling wizard, and she can take 3 battle magic spells. And this is translated in the Cataph mod by just her being the lore of death, which I think is pretty fitting. And she's got 2 special rules here: Expert Poisoner and Stunning Beauty. What we're going to do is I'm going to read the lore for both of these special rules, and we'll kind of look at them in conjunction with the Cataph mod. So let's jump on over to the Southern Realms mod. So here we are in the Southern Realms mod. We've started a campaign with Lucrezia, and you can see she's over here in Tabaro, right next to Skavenblight, Maragliano, and Margherita over there on the left. But let's jump into her character profile real quick and talk about some of her skills. She does have Inured, which is enemy action success chance minus 5%. And as far as her faction mechanic, she's the Mistress of Diplomacy, hero action cost, hero recruitment rank, and diplomatic relation benefits across the line. Now, that's not going to be translated from anything in the Warhammer Army book, but I just wanted to showcase that real quick. So let's take a look at her skills. And these are the special skills that are in the Army book. So for instance, we're going to look here at Stunning Beauty. We're going to keep this up. I'm going to read the lore blurb on it. It's pretty extensive. It is said that Lucrezzia Belladonna is the most beautiful lady in the old world. However, Bretonnian knights consider this honor to rightfully belong to the famed Enchantress of Bretonnia. When an Italian noble once praised her beauty at a tournament in Bretonnia, he was immediately challenged to a joust by a rash Bretonnian knight. The Lady Belladonna, who happened to be present, appointed the Tilian as her champion. When the Tilian, following the local custom, asked Lucrezia for her favor, she simply kissed his lance. No pun intended. Unfortunately, the Tilian was unhorsed in the joust, though he did score a glancing blow on the Bretonnian, which resulted in nothing more than a scratch. However, the Bretonnian quickly slumped in the saddle and fell down dead. When the heralds asked whether the lance tip was poisoned, Lucrezia said, "How can it be poisoned? I have just kissed it, and I don't feel it at all unwell." Since then, no one has claimed to be more beautiful than Lucrezia Belladonna. Cast doubts on her beauty is the kiss of death. So, interestingly enough, this actually isn't a ability that hurts you. Instead, the way it worked in tabletop is that you would basically stop friendly units from fleeing. And this is exactly what we get here. So you can target a unit, and everything in 30 meters around her is immune to psychology. I'm sorry, you can't target a unit. Everything in 30 meters around her is immune to psychology. Cannot target if, is what I was reading right there. Cannot target if unit is a lord or a hero. So she gives immune to psychology to all units around her, which is really kind of cool. If we read the lore here, or I'm sorry, the book, one amazing effect of Lucrezia's Stunning Beauty is that any friendly fleeing unit within 6 inches of her at the beginning of her turn will immediately rally. So a similar effect here. I think this is a very good translation to it, and I think it makes her very, very strong when you're taking a look at her on the campaign map, or even in a quick battle if you want to kind of think of it that way. Of course, she has really low armor. That's kind of like your trade-off right there. She's a very heavily support character. And we get that, of course, because she is a caster, not a hybrid caster. She's kind of more of predominantly one. And again, here's that death line I was talking about here. You're going to do Spirit Leech, everything here. Just pretty standard edition death caster. Nothing special here as far as that goes. And these other lines are actually pretty standard to a merchant prince, as if you were, say, Tilia. So again, nothing crazy here. But this line is pretty cool and is different. She does have another ability I want to go into real quick called Expert Poisoner. And the way this works is it's, I thought it was represented, but I don't. No, but we'll read this real quick. Lucrezia is rumored to be an expert in the mixing of poisons and potions. Whether this is true or not, no one knows, or at least no one has lived long enough to tell the tale. Her enemies always seem to come to a bad end. Lucrezia is equipped with 3 items of a poisonous nature. The Phial of Poison, there. The Poison Stiletto, right there, and the Potion of Pavona, right there. So we can see those kind of play out as we read those items in her profile as well. But I want to talk real quick about her special line here. And it's pretty interesting, right? It has a direct nod to her lore. The 8th husband. The previous 7 husbands of Lucrezia have always been useful and influential men until they stopped being such. During these dire circumstances of exile, the new consort must be especially supportive. So a very cool little nod there. And the Prince of you can choose then one of these 4. And if you choose one of these 4, and I think this is really, really cool. I like this approach here. So basically you're saying your 8th husband is either the Prince of Tabaro, Prince of Margherita, Prince of Bilbali, or just a free market. So we'll take a look at these lower little blurbs here. Tebaldus Marcirius de Vela, current Prince of Tabaro and powerful banker. His city is a safe port and cosmopolitan center that is certainly very promising in the right hands. You get diplomatic relations with Tabaro and Tilia, but you lose with Bilbali and Margherita. And you get leadership when fighting Skaven, and income from ports increase. Margherita is, again, adverse to what we were just talking about, mainly a huge bonus to Margherita itself. You get a relations decrease with Lucini, which is interesting because Lucini, I don't think, is its own entity. We'll take a look. Marrying the ruler of Margherita, one of the most powerful cities in Estalia, would certainly broaden the horizons, but also antagonize Lucrezia's Tilian compatriots. Melee attack when attacking at sea, and recruitment cost reduction for infantry. The Prince of Bilbali, Xavier Rothmere, current ruler of the northern port and expatriate member of House Rothmere of Marienburg, while Bilbali's territory is not reliable by itself for future plans. Their fleets and foreign trade are a considerable asset. So Marienburg bonuses, Bilbali benefits, and income from trade benefit. The last one is free market. You just don't choose anyone. Or maybe not. Having a lot of suitors, especially the influential ones, may open a lot more doors than only one. Benefits to Southern Realms, Bretonnia, and the Empire. And once you do that, well, I guess rank 15, you then have diplomatic manipulation. And it's really interesting about this is that the Southern Realms is really geared, this mod at least, this Cataph Southern Realms mod, is geared towards a combined Southern Realms or a conquered Southern Realms. So it seems that Tabaro is the best chance for a diplomatically controlled Southern Realms, in which case you can just spread it out with everyone. And this is kind of hinting towards that. You could do free market, and then this, and you have 45 relations bonus with the Southern Realms. And that's pretty damn powerful. Well, let's take a look at these 3 items here and Lucrezia's Kiss. We'll do this one first because this is hinted at in the Stunning Beauty lore blurb that we just read. The Lady of Pavona is famous, among other things, for kissing the weapon of today's champion before his duel or battle. Of course, her lipstick is terribly poisonous. You can use this on a lord or a hero, and it will poison that that weapon, and then it also has remains in play plus 20% weapon damage and AP. So that's pretty gnarly. I actually really like that. I think it's a really cool little touch because she's clearly not a combatant. You can see her stat line here. She's not meant to be in that front lines. She has no way to actually increase her frontline capabilities because, again, she is a pure pure caster character, not a hybrid character. So using this, you can use it on a Templar. You can use this on a captain to really give you a lot of benefit from them. And that's why you get so many benefits to putting captains in your army. I mean, turn 1, you could do this, hero capacity +1 for captains. I think there's an actual spell that helps, or I'm sorry, skill line that helps out with hero recruitment rank as well. But either way, it's a really cool little touch here, and I really kind of like this nod because this is nothing in the lore. I'm sorry, the army book as far as an ability goes or a magic item. It's just extrapolated from the lore in a really cool way to make her a little bit more of a support character and viable too, right? I feel like this character, because she is so weak in combat, needs that little bit of a lean on a hero that is very combat centric. So let's read the special poison items as they're called. Let me read the little lore blurbs on this. So, although Lucrezia is a master sorceress, she does not have magic items. Instead, she has various poisonous items, reflecting her special skill as an arch poisoner. The first one is Phial of Poison. Long before the battle, the enemy camp is infiltrated by Lucrezia's paid assassin, equipped with a phial of poison specially prepared by his mistress. This will be tipped into the drink or meal of one of the enemy characters during the feasting on the eve of battle. There is no telling which character will be poisoned. The agent will just take his best opportunity and slink away. The poison is slow acting and will strike the next day as the armies draw up for battle. To represent the effect of this poison, roll a dice for each character in the opposing army, starting with the lowest points value and working upwards. The first character to roll a 1 has been poisoned and suffers 2 wounds immediately. So, that's how it's translated from the lore into the actual game mechanic. Let's see how it is in Total War Warhammer 2. This is pretty interesting here. So it's a direct damage ability, lasts for 3 seconds, and it's around herself, and it has a max of 5 enemies, map wide. Unit is a lord or a hero, and they will suffer a massive reduction to their vigor and have a huge ability recharge reduction. I don't know about the damage on this, to be totally honest. I have never played her in combat. Discreetly poisoning the enemy commanders the night before battle is, well, just another continuation of diplomacy, like war itself. So it's a really kind of an interesting way to do this. I like that. Okay, as soon as you zone into the battle, someone's going to take some damage, because this is chance opponent will resist damage is quite high. So obviously that's negative. They could outright resist the file themselves and not really take any damage. But they do. They'll take some damage, it looks like. Reduction in their vigor, and then ability recharge reduction as well. Especially good if you're fighting against greenskins. That's a pretty cool little nod there. I like that one. Let's take a look at the Potion of Pavona next. This is a potion which Lucrezia can give to any character on her own side before the battle, or she can drink it herself. The effect of the potion enhances D6 characteristics by +1 each. Okay, there's no lore on this, it looks like. Sorry. Let me see. However, there is a risk. The potion may prove slightly poisonous. To represent this after you have nominated the character. Okay, that's... So basically, you roll a die. If you roll a 1, you take damage. So, again, this is the same thing here. So there's a chance you'll resist this damage, and if you do, it causes damage to you, but you can only put it on a character, a lord or a hero. But if you do, weapon damage, melee defense, physical resistance, and melee attack increased. That is a huge benefit over the actual Warhammer 5th edition version of this. I mean, that's an overall increase to a lot of abilities. So the amount of damage they're going to do, the amount of damage they are likely to take, and the likelihood in which they will deal that damage out. And then if they do get damage dealt to them, it's a reduced damage amount. So that's a pretty huge amount of bonuses there. But I wonder how much actual damage it does. Let me see here. If you roll a 1-1... I mean, in the book, it's only 1 wound, so I imagine it's not a lot of damage translated into the game. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Let's take a look at the Poison Stiletto here as our last item to close out Lucrezia Belladonna. Lucrezia always keeps a stiletto dagger secreted in her garter. This is not only for self-defense, but because you never know when you might want to do an off-the-cuff assassination and may not have a ready prepared poison to hand. Of course, Lucrezia's stiletto has been dipped in the venom of a toad and used to chop poisonous mushrooms. Ooh! So she would use this instead of her sword, so it would replace her sword in what's it called? Tabletop. But let's see what this says here. It would give her 2 melee defense and 2 melee attack, so what? 36 and 32. It would give her poisonous attacks, enemy hero action success chance -8%, which I think is crucial. I think one thing that I didn't really do for Borgio, which I regret, and I'm sorry guys, is not talking about those campaign benefits you get from these items, because that's what really makes these items really flavorful. Because I could talk about, oh yeah, let me look at this. Okay, it's poison damage, probably do some AP, blah, blah, blah. But what really makes these flavorful lore additions to the game, in any of the official DLCs, any of these mods, is really taking a look at how they incorporate those campaign benefits to really give that strong nod to the lore behind each item. So Poison Stiletto will also give you 30 AP and a crap ton of poison damage. So you get a really fun character in Lucrezia Belladonna. And if I were to have done this mod, or if I were to have done the DLC, I would not have envisioned Lucrezia Belladonna as her own character. And I think that is a really strong stance here that Cataph took with making Lucrezia her own character in Tabaro. I'm sorry, her own faction. I would have made her own character, just not her own faction. I really like that. I think it's a really cool little ability here. And we do get, see, that's what I mean. Lucini's part of Tilia, so it's interesting that it says negative relations with Lucini. So I like that she gets her own faction. I think it makes it very, very flavorful, especially to her lore. Gives some really cool nods, and it looks like her research tree is the exact same one as Tilia. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this little video and romp through both the Cataph Southern Realm mod, as well as the lore of a Southern Realm character, again, in the Dogs of War character for Lucrezia Belladonna. I have another really fun video coming out related to the Southern Realms and Dogs of War. That's going to be coming here in about a week or two, but we'll continue to go through some of these really fun lords and ladies of the Dogs of War roster in a hopeful addition for them getting official support from Creative Assembly. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one, and take care.